What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your boy, Stone Thug, music artist, comedian, singer. We do it all. Remember StoneThug.com. And also remember you can Google Stone Thug and see what's what. Today, we're going to do a story. I'm going to tell you guys a story about the one and only. They're calling him King Richard, Venus and Serena's dad, Mr. Williams. We're talking about tennis. We're talking about the Will Smith new movie about Venus and Serena Williams. Outstanding, extraordinary father. And your boy Stone Thug, just like in some other unique situations, I have met many powerful and interesting and unique people, such as Prince, the music artist, and Michael Jackson came to my place of business before he passed away, and so many other celebrities. Mr. Williams, though, he holds a special place in my heart because Mr. Williams and Tiger Woods' dad were two black men who did extraordinary things with their children. And I've always had a special place in my heart for these two men, but particularly Mr. Williams. And he has just been such a unique figure, and he has done such an extraordinary job with his daughters. And I have just always admired him and respected him. And I'm doing this little story to tell you about a day that me and Mr. Williams spent the entire day together, just hanging out at my place. Not his place, not a mutual friend's place, but at my place. And I just thought the story was so unique and so interesting. And now they're making this movie and all. I said, hey, this is a great time for me to tell the story how Mr. Williams and I hung out. And we hung out all day. We actually made a little mini movie while we were together, but I'll talk more about that later. What I want to say right now is that I have always been hustling with my music. I made a short movie. I've done all types of music. And if you go to StoneThug.com, you can see all of that. Or just Google Stone Thug. You can see that we cover a lot of ground. But coming up, you know, you need those idols. You need those heroes. You need those people who were against the grain. Those people who stood out. They were unique. And they just simply, crashed the ceiling with their own specialness. And this was a man who did not compromise. He was a man who did not scratch where he didn't itch. He did not yowza balls. He didn't do none of that stuff. And, of course, he was not liked by a lot of people because he was nonconformist. But he was just a unique, strong man, old school man. And I really had it in my heart to one day meet him and shake his hand and let him know just how much I felt about him. And I even dated a woman once who was a beautiful woman. She was a couple of years older than me. I met her at the mall. Very, very unique woman. She had an attorney who was the attorney for Mr. Williams. And because of that association alone, I found, that this woman was very special just because she had a connection to the man. And I didn't think I would ever meet him. So it was just crazy circumstances that it happened. And when it happened, he came up to me, and it was so funny as I had really had a male crush on him for years and years and years. But when he came up to me and actually introduced himself and put his hand on my shoulder and shook my hand, I didn't know who he was, because I'm used to seeing him like you're seeing these pictures now. Like many of you probably never have the opportunity to meet him. Unfortunately, I wish you can meet some of the people who are near and dear to you out in the, in the world itself. But I was fortunate enough that one day, outside of my little business in Los Angeles, I was sitting in a director's chair, and we had a couple of them sitting out there. We're just watching the cars and the girls go by. And this white car pulled up in front of our business. And I was there alone that day. And it wasn't a big business. That particular business was a small business. Like a mom and pop's office supply place at the time or something. And of course, I was still dabbling with my music and whatnot, but not like I am now. But, I was doing what I do. And as I was sitting out there, this white car pulled up. It stayed there for a minute. It wasn't directly in front of me, probably halfway at the business next door location. And what happened was a woman got out the car. And she went around to the other side of the car. She was, I would say about 30 or 40 years old. She was carrying some papers and some books or whatever. And I sort of paid attention and not paid attention, just sitting there watching everything go by. And a few moments later, the man came out. And he just came out of the car. And the car was not a special car. Nothing. It wasn't a Rolls Royce or Bentley or anything fancy. It was just a regular car. And the gentleman came out, and I really didn't even notice them much. They had to be, I don't know, 20 feet from me, if that far, maybe closer to 15 or 10 feet away. And the gentleman came out, and he walked up to me, and he put his hand on my shoulder and shook my hand and said, "How you doing?" And I said, "I'm doing pretty good." And then he walked away, and next door to where I was, that location was the post office. So he went to the post office, but his face was very familiar to me, but I had no idea who this gentleman who invaded my space, put his hand on my shoulder, grabbed my hand, shook my hand, and then walked into the post office. I had no idea who he was, but I felt I knew him, but I could not place it. So after a few more moments, the woman who came out with the gentleman, she came out the car. I guess she walked the same direction he was walking, because he was actually going to the post office next door. She came by, and she was walking a little slower and stuff and carrying some stuff. And I said to her, "Excuse me," I said, "but the gentleman you came out the car with, I know him from somewhere." And she said, "Yeah." She said, "That's Richard Williams, Serena and Venus's dad." And it was so unbelievable. It was so unbelievable. I didn't really have words to express how shocked I was that a man that I had thought about for so long just to want to shake his hand and say, "Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you for what you're doing." He beat me to the punch. He came up to me and shook my hand and said hello to me. And I didn't even know who he was. And unfortunately with me, that has happened a couple of times, meeting certain people you wanted to meet for years and years, just in certain locations. You see them. Sometimes you don't even recognize these people. So anyway, he went to the post office, and I said to her, "Wow." I said, "Is he coming back this way?" She said, "Yeah, he's coming back." I said, I hate to bother him, but if you could just let him know that I'd love to say hello to him again, because I didn't know who he was when he first came up to me." She said, "Oh, yeah, no problem. He'll be back. I'll let him know." And I guess about 10 or 15 minutes from that time, well, actually, when she went to the post office and said he'd be back in about 10 or 15 minutes, I got right on the phone. I called every friend in the area I had and let them know that the man himself, King Richard, was in the vicinity. I mean, summons the king. I mean, the king was here. Let's say, if you want to come by and take a peek, come on by. So I called my friend Willie, Willie Brown. You might know the comedian Willie Brown, and I tried to call Tommy Chung, but he was too far away. I called another friend who was a business person across the street, a couple more people, at least 3 people. I gave a call, and they told me they were going to try to come on over just to kind of take a look at him, because we didn't expect him to be around any time. So a few minutes later, he came out the post office, and he walked up to me again, sitting in a chair. So, of course, I stood up out the chair, and I extended my hand. I shook his hand again and just told him all the stuff that I had in my heart, and I wanted to say to him. And he was very poised and very calm and very cool, and he just sat there and he listened to me. And after a while, he pulled out a cigarette. And he pulled out a cigarette, one of those Virginia Slims, I think it was. And he lit it up, and he asked me. He didn't say anything about what I said. He just listened for about 5 minutes contently. And then he said, calmly, "Do you have a restroom?" I told him, "Of course, yes. We have a restroom." I couldn't believe it. He's coming to the restroom now. So he came to the restroom. He went to the restroom. And after he went to the restroom, and I actually got ahead of myself, because when he came back out the restroom, he didn't smoke in the restroom. He smoked when he came back. And it was like 15 minutes or something like that. And I think at that time I called a couple of more friends too when he was in the restroom. The young lady, I can't remember where she disappeared to. I guess she went back to the car or something. But he came out the restroom, and he paused in front where we had the director's chairs, and he sat down. He had a smoke. And as he was sitting there, he doesn't talk much. He didn't actually say very much. But I just simply went on, giving him the speech from that I wanted to say to him and everything else. I talked for about 10 minutes, and we sort of watched the cars, and he enjoyed his cigarette. And then after, I guess about 20 minutes went by, he told me that he was working on a project, that he was actually doing something. I can't recall the particulars. But after I got to telling him, he asked me, he said, "Do you want to put that on camera?" The fact that what I thought of him as the father of the year kind of business, or the father of the decade. And he asked his assistant to go get the camera. And I said, I would love to let, anybody know, what I feel and what I thought. Because I honestly felt what I felt about him, and what he had done, and the uniqueness of the situation that he was able to take his daughters and do what he did with them, and just the idea of it all. So she went and got a camera, and then we went into the business, and he filmed inside the business. He actually filmed me for about a half an hour, talking about the business, talking about him, talking about the state of Black America, and his daughters and everything. And we just really did like an interview. So this film actually exists. So I don't want to make this video too long. I just really want to acknowledge the fact that we spent this day and this time together. By the time we got through talking it up, and then a couple of my friends actually did come by, and we all spent time with him and talked to him. He had been there for the entire day that I had the business open. Just being a regular, everyday human being, just sitting there with us, powwowing it, and just talking with us. And it was just unique. And it was just a wonderful time that I'll never forget. that he took time out of his schedule and came and talked to me and talked to my friends. And at the end of the time that we spent together, and all my friends shook their hands and everybody met and everything, it was leaving. Mr. Williams, I extended my hand, but Mr. Williams did not extend his hand to me. He sort of put his hand, kind of extended it to me, and then pulled it back to his side. And I had to kind of reach, to kind of shake his hand. I thought it was a little odd that he didn't extend his hand like he did with the other guys. But he, who didn't, Mr. Williams doesn't talk a lot. He doesn't, he's a very passionate man, very strong and powerful man. You could feel the power, the old school power in him. He actually grabbed my hand and pulled me up close to him. And he gave me a hug. He didn't just want to shake my hand. He wanted to give me a hug. So he actually gave me a hug. And I I don't really have words. I can't really express, I really don't have words to describe that feeling and the fact that he thought enough of me and to spend that time with me. And then at the end of the day, where he greeted my friends, he gave me a hug. Not only that, but he took it to the next level where people were, giving their information and stuff, and he gave me his phone number. And when he gave me a phone number, I naturally assumed that it was a voicemail number or a number to his assistant or something like that. And I didn't call for a while. But after a while, I was curious about how the documentary was going or whatever he was working on and that I was participating in. I called. And I called just regular time, LA time. And I actually woke him up out of bed one time when I called him. And I was so shocked that that was actually his actual phone number. So I got his actual phone number, his house number or something, because he literally woke up and we spoke on the phone. And I was so apologetic or whatever. I just wanted to leave a voicemail or a text or something, but he actually gave me his number. So he is a human being. He is a Superman. He is a hero. He is a gentleman, a gentle, passionate, powerful, interesting soul. And I just wanted to say, Mr. Williams, King Williams, King Richard, Father Venus and Serena, I love you, man. And just stay strong. And thank you for touching and being who you are. And one other little tidbit for you guys, since you listened to this video. I did say to him, just before he left, Mr. Williams, would you tell your daughters that I said hello? And he stopped. And he looked at me. And he looked me in my eyes. And he paused. And it was an odd moment. And then he nodded his head and he said, I will. And I knew right then and there he wanted me to marry one of his daughters. So when you ladies take a look at this, whatever whatever one is available. I know one is hooked up right now for a minute. The other one might be single, but hey, girls, hey, your dad, he wanted us together. So try to make that happen. And just remember, Daddy knows best. Okay, this is your boy, music artist Stone Thug. And I just wanted to say that and thank you guys for listening, taking the time. God bless you. Keep listening to Stone Thug music. And go to stonethug.com and check me out. Or just Google Stone Thug. Thanks again. All right. Peace out.